for listening to Pick Your Battles. I'm Kayla.
And I'm Dana, and we're going to give you some professionally unprofessional parenting advice.
Or we'll just bitch a lot.
Probably.
All right, Dana, tell us about yourself.
Yeah. Oh, where do I start? So I work in marketing for a medical device company, and I am married to my husband, Jimmy. We met in college, and we've been married for almost 8 years.
Super cute.
Yeah, love him. And we have Wyatt, and he is 1.5 going on like 13.
Basically.
So that's a handful. And I'm just really excited to do this podcast because I think as moms and as growing adults and just humans, it's just nice to have a way to vent about all of the problems and all of the issues and all of the things that we deal with on a daily basis, and just talk about it with friends and just know that we're not alone. I know, like, we say that, like, oh, it's fine, you're not alone.
Right.
But, like, to really know that.
To have a support system.
Totally.
Absolutely. I also feel like it's a great time to mention that Dana and Jimmy stole the name Wyatt from us. Feel like we got to throw that in there, right?
Right off the bat.
Right. I just want the people to know.
Yeah.
Xander and I love the name Wyatt, but Jimmy and Dana had a kid first, and it was a boy.
And what did you do? You picked your battles.
Didn't have a choice with that one.
Yeah.
Just wanted the people to know.
Fair enough. Yeah. Yep. That's great.
Yeah. Thanks.
Tell us about yourself, Kayla.
Okay, about me. My name is Kayla. I have been married to Xander for 1.5 years. We also met in college. But fun fact, we only grew up 20 minutes away from each other. We had Mason in August. August babies are not fun. It was so hot. Dana listened to me bitch all summer long. And she made her pregnancy look really easy, so.
Well, and Wyatt's a July baby. So not too far off being a summer baby, but...
You made it look so easy.
Well, I'm always cold. So I finally had, like, some insulation to, like, oh, this is actually a nice temperature.
Right.
But the summer of 2020 was way different than the summer of 2021.
Very true. I was, like, working my ass off in the summer.
Yeah.
And you were working from home.
Yeah, I was.
That's true.
So that was, pandemic problems for sure.
I work kind of at a daycare. It's like an in-gym daycare, so the parents come work out and they drop their kids off. So I'm watching kids every day. I bring Mason with me 3 times a week. And then the other 2 days a week, she goes to her own daycare. So that's nice because I kind of get a few days to, like, feel like myself. Those are my favorite days. But I'm too stubborn to send her 5 days a week. Anyways.
That's another episode.
Yeah. We'll talk a long time about that one. I'm looking forward to this podcast because, kind of like what you said, it'll be fun. It'll be something different that we haven't done. And like I told Xander, best case scenario, we're famous, we're going on tours, people love us. Worst case scenario, we drink a bottle of wine,
yep,
we vent, and we sit in a closet.
Yeah.
I mean,
maybe this will just be our, so we're in my closet, and there's only enough room really for the two of us. The door's kind of open just to give people an idea of how actually small the closet is. I'd love to be like, oh, we're in my walk-in closet.
I mean, we did walk in and sit down.
Yeah. But yeah, so hopefully that will maybe just be like our thing.
Yeah.
Regardless of the millions of dollars I could make, we're just going to be in our closet.
The studio's going to be like, hey, do you guys want to come to our studio? We're going to be like, we prefer closets.
Yeah, do you have a closet? And we like to sit on the floor.
Yeah. Just take us back to our roots.
Yeah, stay humble, folks,
That's right. So if you're wondering why our acoustics are so good, that's why.
That's why.
Yeah. Okay, Dana, I think you should tell them where this grand idea started.
Like all grand ideas in 2020 whatever, they started on social media. So Wyatt is obsessed with shoes, and he also, being a summer baby, I don't know about anyone else, but the kid loves being naked, loves being in his diaper.
So true.
And so in like October, November, time, he just wanted to only be in his diaper. He wanted to wear his snow boots and like whatever on his head. And so, I mean, it was adorable. And so I posted it on my Instagram story and I just said, on this episode of Pick Your Battles, you know, and he was running around like a total a-hole and whatever. And so that was one post. And then another post was, gosh, I don't even remember, something else he was doing. Probably like
you were trying to clean something. You were like, I never thought I'd be the parent to stick my kid in front of the TV.
Oh, that's right.
Yes.
Right. The age old like opinion of like, I'm never going to put, you know, Baby Shark on so I can like, I don't know, go to the bathroom or whatever.
In peace. Right.
And so finally, exactly right. I put on Baby Shark and he turned into a zombie and I was able to like do the dishes or something. And so on this episode, of Pick Your Battles, it was, I'm just going to put on technology and say, fuck it and be done, you know, and get my shit done. So then finally, I think there was maybe one other one. And I was just like, I know I'm not the only one that does this. In fact, I talk to my best friends about this all the time because we all have kids. And I was like, let's talk about it. Yeah. Let's just sit down and talk about it. So Kayla and Xander came over for dinner that night. Like, we always have dinner like 4 times a week probably together. And so I was like, Kayla, do you want to do a podcast with me? And
you came home from Costco and you're like, I have an idea.
Oh, was it Costco? Wow, your memory is so good.
I have an idea, you guys. We should start a podcast. I was like, I'm in.
Great. Okay. See,
wait, what's it about?
Yeah. You're like, okay, I'm doing it, but what are we doing?
Yeah.
And then Xander is like, I'll help.
Yeah.
Like, I want my own segment or whatever.
Right.
So stay tuned for some content from Xander. But yeah, I just was like, you know what? Like, there's so many times that we just have to pick our battles.
Yeah.
Like, if we're just stuck with the babies or if it's, you know, you as a parenting team stuck with the babies, like, you have to be on the same team, but you also just have to pick your battles.
Just to keep your sanity. I feel like we should talk about the first time we felt like we really failed as a parent, right?
Yep.
Because you bring this baby home and you're like, first of all, I can't believe they let me leave with this thing. Like, I have no background in...
I don't know what I'm doing.
You didn't even check to make sure I put him in the car seat right.
Totally.
So, what was like the first big parenting fail that you had where you were like, oh no, I failed my sweet baby?
Oh yeah. So Wyatt was 6 weeks old and of course my husband was back at work. He was actually traveling. So he was, on the other side of the state of Michigan. Mm-hmm. And, we have one of those, you know, like recline bouncer, like seats with, you know,
vibrating.
Yeah. Right. So in our dining room, we have like kind of a higher set dining room table. And so I had put Wyatt in that seat on top of the table and I went to go get a coffee.
God forbid.
Right. I was like, the woman needs a cup of coffee. Yeah. It was maybe 10:30, 11 in the morning. And you and I were going to go on a walk.
Sure were.
It was a beautiful summer day in August. We were going to load up the dogs and head to the park and go for a walk. And I no more than get into the kitchen and get my coffee cup. And I just heard boom, boof, boof, like this crash. And then a scream. And instantly I thought, there's no way that my child just fell off the table onto the floor.
Right.
There's no way.
Right.
And you know, that thought went through my brain in about 0.001 seconds, but it also felt like I had this monologue conversation in my brain.
Yeah.
And I run in the dining room. The bouncy chair he was sitting in was no longer there. It was, in fact, on the floor. He was upside down in the, you know, kerfuffle of it all. Uh-huh. And I freak out. I am hysterical. My dog is bouncing and barking because she thinks she doesn't know what's going on.
Right.
And so that added to the chaos. And Wyatt is like hysterically crying. I call Jimmy. I'm hysterically crying. He's screaming. The dog's barking. He's like, what is going on? And I was like, he fell. And he was out of town. Like, what was I supposed to do?
Right.
And I was like, do I call the pediatrician? Like, do I call 911? Like, does he have like an internal brain bleed? Like,
Right.
you know, you just don't
That's
know.
terrifying.
And you're like, how could I have just let him fall like that?
Yep.
And then, of course, Jimmy goes, well, he was strapped in, right? The answer to that was no.
Well, he was 6 months old. He's a potato.
He was
or
6
6
weeks.
I'm sorry. He's a potato.
Right.
I'm sorry. Maybe people do strap their kids in. But at 6 weeks old,
I mean, I was just like,
I probably wouldn't have.
I mean, it was just the like thought of, I'm just going to go put coffee in this cup and I will be right back.
God forbid.
Like, what could possibly happen in 2.3 seconds?
Right.
So, ended up taking him to the pediatrician after I called them hysterical. Took him to the pediatrician. Well, and then at first I texted you and I was like...
Because I was already at the park.
Yeah. I was like, the worst thing has just happened. Wyatt fell off the table. Like, I don't know. I'm like inconsolable, blah, blah, blah. Not, the walk probably won't be happening
Right.
like today.
Yeah.
So, because I couldn't be on the phone with another human at this point because I just couldn't talk about it. And
Right.
so I went to the pediatrician where I then broke down again and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm such an idiot. I'm such a bad mom. Like, please don't call Child Protective Services. You know what I mean? And, you know, she's like, this happens all the time. I promise. And I'm like,
That's
please.
nice of her.
But, you know, in the back of my mind, I'm like, you say that to everybody. You know what I mean? Yeah. Which now, like, taking a step back after it being a year, you know, since, well, more than a year since that happened, I'm like,
Right.
you know, this probably does happen all the time. Like,
Right.
shit happens.
Yeah.
Right? But it was a good thing that he, you know, instantly started crying. He didn't have any bruising. He, you know, probably the chairs that we have are padded and fabric, and then he fell on the rug, you know. So was it ideal? No. But I guess in hindsight, it could have been worse, right? So thank God everything was okay. But that was definitely my like, oh shit, I have the rest of his life to care for now. Like, I haven't even made it 6 weeks.
You can only go up from there, though.
I mean, I guess. So that was mine.
Yeah.
Big fail.
And then I said, Dana, I'll bring you lunch. Have you eaten today? No? Okay.
Yeah.
I'll bring you
So
lunch.
then the walk date turned into just a lunch date.
Yeah.
Turned into talking me off a ledge.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Surviving.
So, yep.
Yep.
What are friends for?
That's right. Mine was just more of a like, shit, I'm a bad mom. Mason was maybe a week old. And first of all, I'd like to say umbilical cords are fucking disgusting. They're so gross. Like,
Oh,
those are gross.
like,
Like when they clip them and then
Yeah.
they're drying up and they haven't fallen off yet.
yeah.
That's disgusting.
Yeah.
Nobody really talks about that, so I'm just putting it out there right now. That shit's gross. So, you know, we're giving her sponge baths, trying not to, like, get her umbilical cord wet, because then they stink, but of course, we don't care, so we get it wet on, you know, just a little
Right.
bit, but it still stinks.
Can't help it sometimes.
Yeah. So, again, Xander's back at work, and I can't figure out why Mason stinks so bad, but it's gotta be her umbilical cord. Because it's dead flesh.
Yeah.
But I'm like, but it just really stinks. And so I'm like sitting in the living room with her on my lap, and I think I was doing like head, shoulders, knees, and toes, but using her arms and moving her. And I lift up her arms to go to her head, and I just catch a whiff of her armpits. And I was like, head, oh my God, it's her armpits.
Your armpits really stink. Really stink.
Yeah, so I called Dana and I was like, it's her armpits stink. What? Her armpits are the reason that she stinks. And I immediately, like, felt so bad because, okay, she's been in the bath, we've been sponge bathing her. Her armpits have been getting wet.
But not clean.
But not cleaned. And so probably also not getting dry because, I don't know, in my mind, I'm like, I don't dry my armpits.
Yeah, I guess.
You know, so like, I just didn't think I'd need to dry a baby's armpits.
Right.
Anyways.
How old was she again?
I mean.
Days.
Weeks? Probably a week old.
A week,
Probably
okay.
a week old. And then I go into overdrive like, well, if it's been wet and not dried, is her skin eating her skin and that's why it smells so bad? Like, is it just disgusting and there's like fungus growing under there? Anyways. We gave her a bath. Cleaned it really good.
That's great.
She hasn't had stinky pits since. Yeah. Nobody tells you to clean their armpits.
I
So
know.
now I clean every crevice.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
Every roll. Under the neck
yeah,
with all that slobber. Gross.
gross. But you're right. Like, it's just one of those things that people are probably assuming, like, of course you would just do that. But on top of everything else you have to think about.
That's the other thing, is there's so many things to think about when you bring home a new baby that, like, I didn't think to wash and dry her armpits. God forbid. How many times have I said God forbid this episode?
It's drinking game.
I know. But I mean, yeah, your mind is also on overdrive. Your hormones are at 110%.
Oh, yeah.
So
No kidding.
it's a
Yeah.
lose-lose.
I think my goal at the end of like an episode is to not say what you should have done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just like, that's what I did and I'm sticking with it and that's okay.
Yeah.
So, oh, that bottle of wine is done. So,
We drank that fast.
yeah,
Good job.
it's tasty.
That was good.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
So that means we're done here. And just remember, it's okay to pick your battles.
And it's okay if you pick the wrong one.